1941. Are we progressing? Are we going in the right direction or the wrong direction? We are consuming more and producing something that the world wants less. We need big ideas from the private sector, but businesses aren't coming up with those things. Why? They're holding on to their money. Why? Because they are afraid. They are uncertain. They don't know what this administration is going to do to them next. Just the stuff that they did last year. As a small business owner, I don't know what it's going to cost me for health insurance. I don't know what my taxes are going to be. Did you see what the president said about anyone who disagrees with him 2 days ago? Watch.
If Latinos sit out the election, instead of saying we're going to punish our enemies and we're going to reward our friends who stand with us on issues that are important to us, if they don't see that kind of upsurge in voting in this election, then I think it's going to be harder. And that's why I think it's so important that people focus on voting on November 2nd.
Do you understand that? Punish his enemies and reward his friends. That's what we have become. Who are his friends? The labor unions. Punish the enemies. What president has ever talked like that about 50% or even more than 50% of the population of the United States? Name the president. Go ahead. I'll wait. Businesses are scared to death. We are left to hope that government is going to come up with the next big idea. Well, Joe Biden said every great idea in the last 200 years was inspired by the government. Well, that should be a breeze, shouldn't it? Here's what they've come up with. Green jobs. All right? Let's take an honest look at green jobs, because they try this in Spain. They banked their entire economy on the lie of green jobs. They immediately started losing 2 jobs for every green job they created. You create a green job, you lose 2. That's why they are currently sporting a 20.5% unemployment rate. 20%. All right, we're investing in solar panel production. That's the future. Well, how are we going to compete on a global market against China? Nobody will tell you this. You know that China controls 95% of the Earth's rare minerals? Well, we've been out spending money. They've been out in investing. They have gone out all over the world and they've bought 95% of all the rare minerals. Now they've put a hold on exporting the rare minerals. Why does this matter? Well, because rare minerals are a critical component to solar panels, high-tech weapons, smart bombs, telephones. Now, how about our electric cars? We have the new Chevy Volt from Government Motors. Yeah, not so much. Turns out the facts are GM wasn't telling the truth about the Volt being an all-electric car. Engineers are now admitting that at the highway speed, the gas engine actually takes over and drives the car. So this is just another hybrid. Or is it just another lie from the government and a government-run industry? By the way, the same time Government Motors is lying to us, Ford, who didn't take a dime of stimulus money, just posted a profit. There's an idea not inspired by our government. So how do these government ideas lift us out of a recession? They don't. America, next Tuesday, this is your choice. More of this nonsense that you know doesn't work. Or we lower taxes. We give businesses incentive to actually reinvest its profits by not doing crazy things in Washington. We have them reinvest here. We make the United States a safe haven for people's ideas and their money. China steals people's ideas. We can protect them here. You unleash the free market and you put the lawbreakers behind bars. This happened in the early 1920s when government was reduced, taxes were lowered. We went through exactly the same thing. Boom! 1940s happened again after the war. We had cuts followed by an economic boom. We can do it. We can do that, or we can have the biggest tax hike in American history. It will, mark my words, they won't even vote on it. It will expire in the middle of the night while we are all crowded in Times Square counting down the new year. It will cripple businesses further. The choice is clear. Those people who believe this.
The federal government is the only entity left with the resources to jolt our economy back into life. It is only government that can break the vicious cycle where lost jobs lead to people spending less money, which leads to even more layoffs.
Or the choice is yours on Tuesday, people who believe this.
The societies which have achieved the most spectacular, broad-based economic progress in the shortest period of time are not the most tightly controlled, not necessarily the biggest in size, or the wealthiest in natural resources. No, what unites them all is their willingness to believe in the magic of the marketplace.
You know what the magic of the marketplace is? You. You. A government that believes in you. We're turning on our values, the ones that got us here. Are we going to allow ourselves to be the ones that let the republic die? Or are we going to sit here and watch a 30% voter turnout? If we do, then we will probably deserve all the government ideas that we'll get. I want to talk to you a little bit about mainstream and the mainstream and who's in it. Last week, George Soros, spooky dude George Soros, put $1 million bounty on my head. He is literally dumping money into organizations who do nothing but try to get me or other people here at Fox fired by faking outrage and taking words out of context. So let me ask you, who is scarier? Someone like me who plays his cards face up on the table, tells you exactly what I am, what I believe, tells you don't take my word for it, go look it up yourself, go find it out. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Find it out yourself. Or somebody who stands in the shadows and with their cash and their money and their influence and their power, they seek to silence and destroy someone that they disagree with. Not that they can prove wrong, but they disagree with. They don't have the debate. These people are willing to circumvent the Constitution of the United States and silence free speech and the freedom of press, all because they're very rich and powerful. Wow. I would hate that on the left, the right, the up, the down. That's wrong. Now, maybe it's just me, but I have wondered several times, has anybody ever noticed how long we've survived on this program with all the scrutiny from every member of the press? I am on the air 4 hours every day. Plus, I give speeches and live appearances. I gave 2 speeches yesterday. Live appearances all over the country. But let's forget about the speeches and the appearances. Let's just talk about when I'm on broadcast television or radio. In 1 hour, I will say approximately 6,200 words. I speak 4 hours on radio and television every day. That's 25,000 words every day. 125,000 words a week. That's 6 million words a year, all uttered so somebody can tape it and check it. I've also been doing radio and television for 4 years now. Radio I did for 30 years prior to doing TV. Oh, if I had $1 for every word I say, well, I'd still have to be on the air for 2.1 million more years to pay off the national debt. Here's the point. I say all of these words, millions of them. Most of them are ad-libbed or off the cuff or off the top of my head. How am I able to survive? Because I say what I mean and I mean what I say. I can speak freely because I believe in what I'm saying, and I'm not afraid of getting caught in a lie. I'm not far out of the mainstream. I may have things you disagree with me on, but I'm pretty close to the center. I have nothing to hide. People do disagree with me, but I'm not a radical. There's a difference. Now, all of those years of words, 4 hours a day. I have more on record in 4 hours every single day than Barack Obama does. Now, what about Barack Obama? He says a lot of words too, but he also travels with a teleprompter at his hip. He's going to have a prompter with him when he visits India. According to the papers over in India, quote, a teleprompter will be in use for the first time in the Central Hall of Parliament when President Barack Obama addresses MPS November 8th. It's like Linus and his blanket. Can you imagine if Ronald Reagan was like, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this. Hang on, prompter, please. Wall. All presidents use them. People in television use them. I use them. But no one has ever used them like he has. The New York Times said presidents have been using teleprompters for more than half a century, but none have relied on them as extensively as Mr. Obama has. While presidents typically have used these teleprompters for most of their speeches, an inaugural State of the Union or Oval Office address, Mr. Obama uses them for routine announcements and even for opening statements of his only news conference so far. Sources tell us in the White House that in meetings with as few as 6 people in the room around a conference table, the president uses a teleprompter. Why would he do that? Because as soon as he goes off prompter, he slips and shows what he really believes in. A few examples.
Electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket.
And I think when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everybody.
If Latinos sit out the election, instead of saying we're going to punish our enemies and we're going to reward our friends,
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal,
Creator.
endowed
Creator.
with certain inalienable rights.
He is keeping his true identity in the shadows. He can't risk being seen for what he really is, a radical. Every word must be scripted. They keep him on prompter for reason. In fact, I read about it just yesterday as I reread The Coming Insurrection. And this is not my marked copy. In the place where they're talking at the very end about structure, and the structure that's not in place yet, they say, quote, visibility must be avoided, but a force that gathers in the shadows cannot avoid it forever. Our appearances as a force must be reserved for the opportune moment. The longer we avoid visibility, the stronger we'll be when it catches up with us. And once we become visible, our days will be numbered. Either we will be in a position to break its hold in short order, or we will be crushed in time. So what is going on? Why is George Soros pumping all this money? Why are they coming after this show and you and Fox and the Tea Parties and everybody else? Because they're not ready to be visible yet. And that is your greatest strength. Put light on their words. Make them visible and watch them scurry.